2 rounds down in the finals and 2 to go. Last week at Zolder was a terrifying event for some. A very tight and brutal track combined with rain in race 3 means that the standings have shuffled around quite a bit. We've seen some big movers and shakers here, and it's a pleasure to bring you all to Germany, the virtual Nurburgring Grand Prix circuit for round 3 of the finals here in the CareVets NZ Toyota 86 E-Cup right here on NZ Sim Racing TV. Bringing it to you live here is myself, Reese Gardner, with Scott Rankin alongside me in the commentary box. Scott, honestly, round 2, sorry, was an incredible show. We had fantastic racing all throughout the field. Plenty of drivers who were very surprised with how things went. A couple looking to make up some redeeming qualities here for round number 3. It's going to be a fun ride.
Yeah, and a challenging one as well, but challenging in a different way. When we went to Zolder last time out, it was all about, you know, chicanes and navigating them and making sure that you bounce the car in the correct direction, and then managing the wet weather as well, placing the car. And we saw quite a number of guys that were happy to crawl all over the road, and they were able to drive the car quickly in that format. Different challenge here tonight, fast and flowing. We're taking to the Nurburgring GP layout, but it's not the full version of the layout, it's the shorter version of the layout as well. They come through the arena section like we are on screen at the moment, and then we don't go any much further than this. Just over the crest of the hill right here in this shot, you actually see these guys turn right, and then they'll double back, which means they effectively eliminate the fastest and most flowing section of the circuit in the Schumacher S's. So realistically, this is still challenging. It still has a chicane element to it, but the way that you attack it, again, look at the way that they're attacking those curves. Completely different. Very, very different style of racetrack and different challenge altogether compared to last week.
Yeah, they'll be wrestling these Toyota 86s through the corners for sure today and tonight, depending on where you are in the world. It's solidly still daytime for me and Scott here in Australia, but a very good evening to all of you watching in New Zealand. The biggest prize in New Zealand sim racing up for grabs here, as we've mentioned in previous shows. The ultimate winner of this final series advancing to the CareVets Toyota 86 Scholarship Competition in March. They'll be competing against a judging panel in both on and off track performance activities, and if the winner of the scholarship comes through, they will receive a season drive in the CareVets Toyota 86 for the 2026 Toyota Trophy Series in New Zealand. Second overall will get a $1,000 MOZA Racing voucher redeemable at Speednation. Third overall prize, a $450 Mann & Racing Products Sim Racing store voucher. Plenty of other prizes besides that we will certainly be going into as the show continues. But yeah, it's quite the interesting championship that we've got up here. Some fantastic drives from many a driver in these standings. But overall, Cooper Prout has been the one to come out on top thus far.
Yeah, to this point in time. And the big thing was that Ewan Baker walked away after round 1, and he was very quick and very consistent and put it on top there. But things did not go his way in round 2, and that's the reason that we're not necessarily talking about him on top of the standings after round number 2. But the big one is, have a look at that driver that just dittoed their way into the back end of the top 10, and have a look at the driver that's moved their way into 3rd spot. Sprague picked up 15 spots in the points, so not a strong round 1, very, very strong round number 2. He was consistently there and on the podium across all 3 of the races, showed his skills in a variety of mixed conditions, and also navigating the reverse grid race that did in for so many of his other competitors out there. Paul Booth also really, really happy with the way that he drove. Quite defensive, managed to really show the rear end of that car and just be not a moving chicane or a rolling roadblock, but very difficult to overtake. A lot of the time he spent on the back foot defending, but did it clean, did it aggressively, hung on to race spots. And that's actually why as well, he's actually ended up picking up the driver of the day from last week.
Indeed, we'll be talking more about that very shortly. But first, as we conclude our viewing of these standings here, got a few drivers who are wanting to actually get some points on the board here in round 3. Let's have a look in detail at the track that we are racing at today. I believe Cameron Dance in the BMW M2 safety car that is being used for this series, driving a demonstration lap around the Nurburgring Grand Prix circuit, the Sprintstrecke, as it is known. Long start, finish straight. You reach the highest speeds here right at the end of the straight. We come to a part of the circuit that was introduced in 2002 or thereabouts, a very tight hairpin to start the lap with a huge drop down right at the apex. That's going to play with your stability quite a bit. You want to flow the car into turn 2 here and get on the power as early as you can. Maybe rotate the car on exit. It'll certainly help you get set up for this following left-hander that just seems to keep getting slower and slower, because you got to almost double back for a right angle right-hander out onto one of the many short straights that make up this layout. Switching on board here for the hairpin that you mentioned earlier, Scott. It's quite the interesting corner, a dip right in the middle. Once again, you basically go downhill on entry and uphill on exit. If you get a good exit, it'll set you up nicely for this left-right combo, which is at high speeds in 3rd gear. The earlier you get on the power, the better, because you're going to be carrying all of that momentum onto the real back stretch. Have to negotiate a turn in the middle of it. It's flat out and the track is wide though, so there shouldn't be too many problems there. We're using the Grand Prix version of the Vidal chicane for this one. High curbs, which you need to use effectively for a good line through the corner, then a short blast past pit entry into the final corner, setting up your run onto the start-finish straight to start the lap all over again. That final corner a little faster than it looks. You certainly need to get your reference points sorted for that one. A challenging track indeed here at the Nurburgring Grand Prix Strecke. And we are glad to see the drivers working their way around it here in the final minutes of practice. While we have a moment, it's time for a short break to give ourselves a look at the championship, the way we're going to be consulting the race today. 15 minutes of qualifying is ahead of us. Race 1, 12 laps. Race 2, 15 laps. And race 3, 9 laps. Very similar format to what the NZ Toyota 86 championships run in the real world. No compulsory pit stops, but there will be a top 10 grid invert for race number 2. Let's go on a quick break here to have some words from our sponsors here before we come back to announce the winner of the fan vote interview.
You have something in your mind, you are able to create it, build it, and then someone from the other side of the world came and tell you that they want to spread this product to 50 countries in the world, so it's a huge personal achievement.
A huge thanks to all of our sponsors and supporters here in the NZ Toyota 86 E-Cup, presented to you by CareVets. Of course, one of the big aspects of this series is the social aspect, the fan vote. After every single round on the NZ Sim Racing TV socials, we have a vote to choose the driver of the day. Not only does the driver, but also a random fan getting a pair of sim racing gloves from Speednation as a result. And today's winner is Paul Booth, standing alongside with Scott Rankin.
Paul, difficult week last time out at Zolder. I mean, but the big challenge for you was obviously defensive. A little bit of a defensive masterclass. It actually looked like you had a whole bunch of fun because it was very, very difficult to overtake at Zolder. And obviously, I think the bigger thing, a lot of fans out there watching along at home, nearly 60% of the vote from last week. What would you like to say to everyone that's given you a vote?
I'd just like to thank them, really. It was it's definitely a tough race out there, especially that third race. It was dripping wet, which was, made it a bit harder, but really enjoyed it. A lot better than the first run that I had.
Mate, big opportunity as well. Moved your way all the way up into 10th in the outright point standings as well. So starting to push towards the top end of things. Different way of going about it this week. We go from a tight and technical track, this time out fast and flowing. Do you feel like you're going to be a little bit more at home at the Nurburgring or more at home at Zolder last week?
It's a bit of much of a muchness, I think. I feel like the draft's going to play a big part this week. So just trying to probably stay in that train and keep myself around that top 10 where I've been last week would be really good.
Finally, what do you reckon? Targeting 10th spot at the end of the first race, pole position after the invert, is that the ultimate goal?
At this stage, yeah, but I'll have to wait and see what I do after qualifying, because my qualifyings haven't been the greatest so far this season. So we'll wait and see.
All right, mate, best of luck. Get the head down, and big shout out to all the fans at home. They've given Paul a vote this week, mate. Congratulations on winning the fan vote, and who knows, we could be speaking to you again for the same prize again next week.
Awesome. Cheers, guys.
Fantastic stuff from Paul Booth, and also the winner of the random viewer selection is Kit Beale. If you are watching, Kit, make sure to get in touch with us at NZ Sim Racing TV and we'll hook you up with your pair of sim racing gloves from Speednation. The same prize will be available next week after the final round as well. So if there's anyone from this round too that piques your interest, that stands out to you as one of the drivers of the day, get on the NZ Sim Racing TV socials afterwards on Facebook. There will be a fan vote. Vote for your favorite driver, and each week a pair of Speednation Sim Racing gloves in your choice of color, not just for yourself, but for the winning driver too. Well, we're starting to get things rolling then for this event. Just a couple of minutes remaining in practice before we switch over to qualifying. I am certainly looking forward to seeing who puts down the fastest times, because we're already seeing some pretty competitive times in practice. James McIver, in particular, one of the fast drivers of this final series, Scott, but he hasn't had the best of luck. A hardware failure in round one of the finals at the Bend took him out when he was battling for the lead of race one. And he had pace once again at Zolder, but unfortunately the curbs took him. He was one of many victims of the brutal curbs at last week's track. He is currently second in practice on a 138.5. So it looks like there's going to be yet more potential here today. Maybe this will be the day when things finally go smoothly for him.
Man, to be frustrated after the way things have gone over the last couple of weeks. Yeah, it's also a little bit misleading, actually, the times coming out of practice sessions. You can see it on the board right there as well. By the way, just go ahead and ignore that timing in the top left-hand of the screen. We'll actually be off to our qualifying session here in just a few moments. We're less than a minute away, I believe, from actually clicking on over to that one, just with some timing issues and whatnot going on. The big thing from this racetrack is, and we heard it from Paul Booth, lots of opportunity to draft and really pick up a lot of speed boost. But the big thing about the 86 is not a lot of power. Not a lot of power out there. So every opportunity that they have, particularly around a long flowing racetrack like this, you can carry speed. If you can carry a little bit of speed onto that back straight, get a nice little toe, get down the inside of somebody, not fighting or fighting at the right times is probably the best way to think about how you go about the racecraft this week. That's really, really crucial. And that also makes me think about, putting yourself in the right group in qualifying, or running around with the right people in qualifying, picking up that right lap is actually really, really important. Sparrow's top of the timesheets right now with a 4:47, but something tells me there's a lot of draft in that lap. I wonder whether or not Ewan Baker managed to get that time in together without all that much draft. You know, there's a lot to play out from a few different bits and pieces there. So I look at that timesheet and I go, I will hold on to my judgment until we see some times in qualifying.
Yeah, indeed. But at the very least, in the initial event setup, we see that Sparrow, McIver, Silcock, Prout, our championship leader, and Ewan Baker second in the championship, round out our top 5. Just like that, the checkered flag flies. It's the end of practice, and now drivers have 15 minutes of qualifying to set as many laps as they can. Lap around here taking just under 1 minute and 40 seconds if you're at the top of the field, so there should be some good opportunities for some solid laps here as everyone makes their way out of pit lane. And this is where we're going to start seeing those drafting groups form that you mentioned, Scott. This formation lap, or rather the out lap that these drivers are completing, is perhaps the most crucial part of the session.
Yeah, and it's set yourself up. Admittedly, you're not going to see the best times come out straight away. The tyres are just not quite there on the first flying lap. So this is read where you are in the pack, take a look at the guys around you, and see if you really understand. Critically, watching Mitchell Sparrow here, and I was just trying to pick up on where he's running around. He's about 2 seconds behind Ewan Baker at the moment. So if he can get a little bit of a hurry on this warm-up lap, he's going to be around somebody that's really, really quickly. If he can leverage Ewan, and in fact, Ewan's actually run a touch wide just ahead of him, this is every opportunity for him to put himself in with a massive tow. So again, it's just smart. How you play this out, warm those tyres up a little bit, but make sure you're in a window to run a lap speed. If you get balked on a lap and have to bail out, you potentially could lose 2 laps. If that happens halfway through a lap in the final sector, trying to gather that back up, set yourself up and go again, you might lose the trailing lap as well. So 15 minutes, it's a hard cut at the end of that 15 minutes. When that timer expires, that's it. All laps that are on the table, they are done. So it is really, really high pressure for this qualifying session.
Getting some weaving on here for Mitchell Sparrow, trying to get as much heat into those tyres as he can before the lap starts. If you're interested in what the weather conditions are like, it is nice and sunny at the moment. Track temperature of 24 degrees Celsius, and it's right in the sweet zone for some fast laps. Look at that, they're pulling over at the end here. They don't want to be the ones leading the charge. They're trying to form up in their own groups here. Ewan Baker stuck in the middle. I wonder if anyone's going to get impatient and try to get beyond these guys. Well, Ewan Baker will trail behind as they go. And these are the first laps beginning now. Leading the entire field, first car in the train, is Dylan Jordan in the number 21 Kiwi Sim Racing entry. He's not going to have any slipstream benefit on this initial hot lap. This one's just going to be a banker for him.
Yeah, but he's also not going to get held up. And there's always 2 ways to talk about it, right? You get first dibs at the racetrack. You get a clean racetrack. If it's a wet session, you generally don't want to be the first driver out there for a couple of reasons. Or sometimes it can work in your favor. You know, you get free vision of the racetrack, but you're the one that's testing the conditions, and well, you're moving the water away. In a dry racetrack, you are punching that big hole, but the benefit is that you're not looking at somebody else's rear bumper. You can see all your braking markers. You can check off each of those boxes. Sometimes it's a little bit easier, and you know, for Jordan, if he can actually pull away from the cars that are in behind him here as well, he's getting quite close to that marker of actually being able to disappear down the road. He's not towing anyone around. He knows exactly what his true pace is going to be like at the end of this one.
Indeed, Alex Sprague, the red and white machine behind him, who, as we mentioned, rocketed up to up 15 places in the championship after a great run at Zolder, but he's struggling for pace here on this initial lap. Cooper Prout, championship leader, had to back out of it. He is slowed down to get to the end of the train there at the end of the first lap. So looks like this initial lap isn't going to count for the Auto Moves number 10. Meanwhile, though, across the line for the first time, we're going to start seeing those times come in, and Avon Dunn is the fastest, a 139.1, playing a 139.9 for Dylan Jordan with no slipstream.
Yeah, so that's a huge number. That sort of gives us a little bit to work with as well. That tells you just how massive that number is for from the assistance of that slipstream. But these are going to keep improving as well. From practice, we got all the way down to the 38 fours. So we've still got 7-8 tenths of a second to sort of find. It's this next lap that's going to be the good one. The third lap of the stint on this tyre, the tyre actually goes away again. Once you sort of hit that crest, laps 2 and 3 are critical. Sometimes you can get it done on lap 3. Sometimes the tyres are sort of still in a reasonable range, and then they sort of fall off. But after that, you've got to back off. You've got to take a cool down lap. You've got to reset them a little bit, but not too massively. If you back all the way off, that tyre goes too cold and it's not actually back up to its peak conditions again. So it's this game of, it is tyre whisper. It's really having a chat to those tyres. What can I extract? How can I make you sit in a really, really nice window? And by the way, just keeping an eye on Alex Sprague, he's had a really, really strong lap. Dylan Jordan, that's just ahead of him, has not had a great lap. And, well, Sprague, I think, will improve at the back end of this one.
Yeah, here's hoping. The lap time actually didn't count on that initial run for Alex Sprague. He got an off-track somewhere along the way. Josh Silcock currently has the provisional fastest time as Mitchell Sparrow really pushes the curbs there. Silcock at the moment, it would appear getting some slipstream assistance in the short term, but is immediately let by. Less than 10 minutes remaining in the session as Alex Sprague finally gets that time and goes second overall. A fantastic lap from him. Still wants to break into that magic 1:38 bracket that only Josh Silcock has for the time being. But I've been thinking as a new raft of times come in, Corbin to second, Baker to third. You mentioned how the tyres fall off after a couple of laps, Scott. Do you think that the session is long enough that you could maybe afford to jump into the pits, get some fresh rubber on, and do another out lap and hot lap from there? Because it's quite a crowded circuit. You run the risk of running into traffic on that second attempt. And do you have enough time to get it done?
Well, you can. It's really, really touch and go. I think the front half of the field have that as an opportunity. The back half of the field, probably not. It's really, really tight because we're already halfway through this session and you haven't really gotten back to pit lane yet. So then you've got to get a change of tyres on, you've got to get that fresh tyre, you've got to get out there, you've got to get an out lap in, and then one flying lap, yeah, the tyre's not quite up there. But the critical thing, I think, is just picking your drafting partners. If you have a look behind you in your rear view mirror and you're on this third or fourth lap, you say take a breather on the tyre. You just don't carry as much speed through this middle section of the lap here. That'll just allow the tyre to breathe, allow it to come back in. A little bit of mistake there. I think that's Ross Buchanan who's actually off the track at this point in time, and he's forced a few cars to sort of abort their lap. So for me, changing tyres, risky. Very, very risky because you lose your spot in the queue, you lose all that information you've gained. I think you're better off just one cool-off lap and go again.
Yeah, it's all about compromise in such a short session. Jordan finally gets a lap time in that he's happy with. That's good enough for 9th overall as Cooper Prout and Corey Croson improve to 3rd and 8th respectively. Now we've got less than 8 minutes remaining in the session, and there's another improvement from Baker. He becomes the 3rd driver then to slip into the 138. Silcock, Baker and Corbin are all looking very good at the moment.
Yeah, but have you seen the difference between Baker and Corbin at the moment? It's 3,000 of a second. So it's nothing in it for P2, which says Josh Silcock, that lap early on in the session, mega, absolutely mega. But the big thing was he had a lot of support from his drafting teammates. So again, it's playing those games, playing them right. You've got to play them. When you're in a lower horsepower car at a big wide racetrack with a lot of straight line behind it, you got to play them. You absolutely have to play them. If you're not playing that punch in the hole in the air for your teammates and getting a little bit of assistance out from them, you're just in a world of hurt. And you can see the guys that actually genuinely have the pace. And again, I'm not going to sit here and say Silcock doesn't have the pace. He does. He's up there, but that's the difference that a really, really good tie around that lap sort of makes. It takes him from maybe 4th or 5th and puts him at the front.
Yeah, good lap from Josh Silcock at the moment. He sits more than a 10th ahead of Ewan Baker, which may just be the margin he needs to start on pole for the first race tonight. Remember, it's only a 12-lap first race, so there's not going to be much time to defend, and everyone's going to be attacking you. So Silcock, at the moment, all he can do is try and make some marginal improvements here, because I don't know if there's too much more time left in that lap.
I just seen some really, really interesting games being played. I think Ewan Baker's happy. I don't think he's going to improve on the session, so he's actually going to jump back into pit lane and try and grab a little bit of a top up. But the other driver I did see that was looking for a toe was Cooper Prout at the moment. He's fourth in that timing sheet, and he's now got at least a single toe. He's looking for a little bit of a double toe from both James Corbin and I believe it's 15th place Christopher Tipper at the moment, who's just ahead of him. And then Corbin's going to slot back in. So Corbin's actually on a cool lap. He hasn't actually got a lot of speed at the moment. So you'll see him probably try and go with these guys. No, he's actually going to bail out. It would have, in my mind, it would have been smarter for Corbin to try and hang on to Prout. And the reason for that, the main reason for that, is because he knows the guys ahead can punch a massive hole in the air. I would have tried to stay with those guys.
Yeah, it's difficult. You know, after a couple of rounds, the drivers obviously have a general idea of their relative pace to those around them, and they can pick out who's the best driver to sit behind in qualifying. But the session almost never goes exactly as you expect, and sometimes you have to make some decisions.
Watch this. This is drafting games. These two are going to play a game with each other here. So this is third and fourth place. This is Corbin and Prout. And Corbin tried to back him up a little bit and was making him think. Prout just bailed. He got forced to. He got forced to bail there because Avon Dunn was trying to play the game, and now he'll hope that Avon Dunn will punch that hole. If I'm Avon Dunn here, I get this lap in the book and then I jump out of the way. Have a look at Corbin though. He's playing that game right back. He just drops in behind these guys.
That he does. So let's see what they can pull off here. 5 minutes to go. Dylan Jordan makes another improvement. He becomes the fifth driver to get into the 138s, rounding out the top five now. Alex Sprague jumps into pit lane. He might have time for another run at it, but it's going to be a bit touch and go there as this group comes across the line. Seen some good improvements from the back of the field. Justin Davies in particular, moving himself up into 16th, setting a 139.7, so he'll be happy with that. The AITX Revolution E-Racing 196 going to be coming around to start another lap in just a few moments' time, but it seems that Davies is one of the drivers that hasn't really gotten the benefit of the draft so far in this session. McIver makes an improvement from 10th to 8th, so incremental gains happening at the moment, but man, the times are close. I mean, we only have to look at that top 10. It's covered by, yes, about 4 or 5 tenths of a second, but the individual gaps between cars. Baker, 138.931. James Corbin, a 38.934. Cooper Prout, 138.961. Dylan Jordan, a 38.972. Then it's only a few hundredths of a second back to Arthur Brown and Alex Sprague in 6th and 7th. I don't think I've seen qualifying times this close, this consistently.
Yeah, and I think that all comes down to the fact that if it's that toe, and the critical thing is, I just saw Alex Sprague. I just went and had a little bit of a check-up with him. I think he just finished another flying lap, didn't necessarily go to plan, but the problem is he's just starting another one, right? So, and he backed off immediately in that first sector. I don't think he's actually got enough time to get 2 more laps in. So he's just circulating at this point in time, because the problem is lap time's about 1:40, just a lick under 1:40. That means he needs 3 minutes and 20 seconds to get 2 laps in. When he started that lap, it was about 3 minutes 15. He's shy. He's shy of the time that he needs, and he's not pressing on with it. I've seen him really back off from this. So basically, you've got to be on a lap now to get this next lap in. Any time in the sort of the next less than a minute, it's about 45 seconds, you'll get that lap in. Anytime after 45 seconds, you're done for the session.
Yeah, that's what the drivers are going to be focusing on hard in the dying minutes of this session. Billy Rowley making an improvement at the back of the field, gets up to 18th place, only a few hundredths ahead of Matt Priest there. As we find our way through the first sector, Cooper Prout looking clean on this lap, but is he close enough to get the benefit of the slipstream from the car ahead? Needs to be a tiny bit closer, I think, when they get to the back stretch. Traditionally, on iRacing, the philosophy is if you're within 1 second of the car in front, you'll get the full benefit of the slipstream. You start feeling the effects from about another 5 tenths back from that. So I think Prout is playing this all right. He should get a whisper of slipstream here, but is it going to be enough? A mistake for the car ahead then, and Cooper Prout may be forced to abort there. Nico Cordier pulls over and lets Prout and Dunn go. I wonder if that's going to ruin Prout's run here.
Well, he certainly had a really red-hot go through the first half of the lap. down through the final chicane. He'll try and carry a little bit of speed. Usage on both sides looks to be relatively... there's the mistake. So the lap won't count no matter what, and his session's actually done, and he realizes that he's going to try and get to the pits, get out of everyone's way. Yeah, smart.
So that just leaves Avon Dunn to come across the line here. We'll see if this is any improvement from 9th place. A 1:39.108 the time to beat, and he won't beat it. He is a half-tenth off his current pace. There's less than a minute remaining in the session. If you're not about halfway around your lap now, you won't be able to get it in before the session changes over. Ewan Baker there is, at the moment, I don't know if he's going to make it back across the line.
He won't. That lap won't count. There's a big pack in the final chicane and into the final corner at the moment. So bit of a group there, and Silcock's one of the drivers that's back there. He's still looking to try and improve as he can. No, he's come to the pit lane, so he won't have a go. Brown ahead of him had a slowdown penalty. I think Sparrow was trying to get a lap together. Remember, Sparrow was up at the pointy end of the field in practice. Well, he's outside the top 10. That's how difficult it's been to put a lap together, and he's got no more time to do so. So top's practice, but he's not even inside the top 10 at the end of qualifying.
Yeah, well, only 10 seconds remaining. If no one crosses the line in the next 10 seconds, that's going to be it. And it doesn't look like anyone is committing to finishing a lap now. So I think that is the deal set and done there for qualifying. And the grid for race 1 has been set. Josh Silcock in car 666 is going to be starting on pole position with a fantastic lap that was set right at the start of the qualifying session. He'll have second place in the championship, Ewan Baker, alongside him on the front row. James Corbin in third place has championship leader Cooper Prout for company on row number 2. Dylan Jordan and Arthur Brown will share row number 3. And then we have Alex Sprague and James McIver on row 4. The top 10, Scotty, rounded out by Avon Dunn and Corey Crossan.
Yeah, we'll move back to Mitchell Sparrow. We just mentioned was top of things in terms of practice. Not able to get the lap together. He's a fair way off what he was able to set there. Bryce Harding to start alongside in 12th. From here on back, it's Nico Cordier and Graham Wall. Wall was one of the last drivers to try and have a crack at a lap time. Unfortunately, couldn't put it together. Driver of the day from last week, Paul Booth, back to 15th in qualifying. Wasn't feeling confident. Justin Davies will line up alongside in the IoT Revolution e-racing car. Christopher Tipper had a reasonable session, was looking for some space on track. Billy Rowley to line up alongside. Rounding out the top 20 is going to be that of Matt Priest and Ross Buchan.
Just a few more cars. Tim Sullivan and Henry Fires on the 11th row of the grid. And we did have Nico Scholes there in practice. He set a time, a 1:38.9, was quite competitive, but didn't set a time in qualifying and isn't showing any signs of going onto the grid. So shame on that front. It would have been interesting to see what Nico would have been able to do in the midst of this field. But we will have 22 guaranteed starters for this first race of the evening. Reminder, it's 12 laps, and it's going to be over in the blink of an eye. Race 2 will be the longest of the 3, and then race 3 is the shortest. So it's all about setting yourself up for the night to come. Remember, it is a top 10 field invert for the start of race 2. Whoever finishes in 10th in this race is going to be starting on pole when the green flag drops next. Speaking of the green flag, it's about to drop here for race 1 at the Nurburgring Grand Prix Sprintstrecke. Revs rise, and Josh Silcock on pole position will lead us away. How does the standing start go? No traction control in this fixed setup, so a little puff of smoke from most of the drivers as they get it going. Silcock immediately moving over to try and block Ewan Baker's run, but it's a better start from the number 34 of Kiwi Sim Racing up the inside into the first corner, almost 3 wide as James Corbin tried to throw his own spanner in the works. Now they're side by side again, and this time Silcock has the inside for turn 2. Baker's trying desperately to find a place to slot in. If he can't do that, he's going to be swamped by the rest of the field coming. Cooper Prout maintaining 4th for the moment, but Ewan Baker desperately trying to keep the runner-up position from James Corbin.
And he's looking to try and slot in as best as he possibly can as well. Desperately needs some points. Spinner in the background and around as they go. I saw Arthur Brown was trading a little bit of paint with Sprague as well in the background as they got down through the arena section on lap 1. The hairpin for the first time tonight in heat, in anger, in bump and grind. And James Corbin is trying to tap out a message on the rear end of Ewan Baker.
The car spinning in the background a few moments ago was Corey Crossan. He's fallen down to 22nd now, as Graham Wall has also had a problem and fallen all the way to the back. That's coming down the back straight now. A solid slipstream from James Corbin, but Josh Silcox starting to run away with it here. Fortunately, fortuitously timed with the circuit layout. They'll have the whole start finish straight to draft off him again. Seems like Cooper Prout's making up some good time in the chicane there.
Sprague didn't get a good run through the chicane. There was all out of control as he come out the other side. McIver's going to get into the side pedals of him. That was a door, and he's been shown the door as he leans his way through from James McIver. A little bit of door banging, rubbing his racing. That's sports cars. That's Toyota 86s. Have a look at the background of the shot as well, the bump drafting. These two are trying to push each other forwards. I think that was Corbin. Oh, they're going to have a go at each other down into turn number one. Sprague was definitely on the offensive and defensive. It was Jordan who was pushing him down the start-finish straight, and they're not done with it yet. Cooper Prout and James Corbin are having a go at each other for third.
Yep, that's a nice over-under there from Cooper Prout. He'll get up the inside of Corbin into turn 3, but it's very easy to defend the position through this section. Corbin will have the inside and doors Prout wide ever so slightly. It was only light contact, but it could result in Prout losing another position as Arthur Brown gets squeezed onto the grass. Whew, this is getting intense here. Now Brown has to go defensive versus McIver, who tries around the outside of the hairpin.
And that was all triggered. There was just the lightest little bit of contact between Prout and Corbin, and it just upset Prout as he tried to double back. That opened the door for Brown. Well, now Brown's on the defensive as well. McIver's trying to slice and dice his way through, trying to carry some speed. They'll make it to the kitty litter. They'll just manage to pick up a cloud of dirt. Here is 86s. Here they are, New Zealand. Strap yourselves in. Race 1 of the night, and the elbows have already been shown. What have we got? Because remember, at the end of this one, we've got an invert coming, Reese. These guys are going to get angsty.
Oh, they are. McIver's going to get angsty right away there. He's deep in the chicane and bumps Arthur Brown off. Brown's going to get a slowdown from that, but the position is redressed from James McIver in the short term. Now Alex Sprague has 3 cars behind him, all fighting for the same piece of racetrack. Avon Dunn, Dylan Jordan, Nico Cordier, and Paul Booth, driver of the day from last round, is going to join them.
Yeah, so here's the big thing, and the difference between the real world versus iRacing is we get the first fastest lap of the day coming our way, 39.312. Don't forget, there is a prize for fastest lap of the day as well. In iRacing, if you're forced off there, and Brown was, and also Corbin's going to slow down, he's trying to serve as well, which just brought him right back into this group. Sorry, yeah, it was James Corbin. Just double checking my timing. Is if you get elbowed off into that runoff area, you have a slowdown penalty. You have to serve that. There is no live official that's going to look at that and go, no, he was forced out there, he is fine to retain his position. In the real world, he cut that chicane, and he didn't have much of a choice, did Brown. You'd be allowed to keep your position. That is one of the key elements in this. Sprague has made his way through. He's up to 4th at the moment. Now he is going to get the McIver effect, and there's someone around. Was that Jordan in the background?
It's Booth. Paul Booth. Wow, what a save, actually. That might deserve a replay, honestly. Booth has managed to recover and keep it going there. He was bumped wide in the hairpin. Just an incredible bit of action there. Mitchell Sparrow tried up the inside, and it didn't look like there was quite enough room. Well, for the moment, we'll keep our eyes peeled here on the front of the field as there's a slowdown there for James McIver. Oh, goodness me.
No, so that was actually race control talking to McIver at that point in time, and they said, right, for the contact of the chicane last lap, you have to redress behind Brown, and I think that's actually a great call. Because he's not been time penalised, he's not been told to go through the pit lane, but he has been penalised for infringing there, and I think that serves the crime, because Brown had to serve a massive slowdown penalty. So he'll go all the way back to 12th spot, and Brown's cut the chicane again. He's got another one. Here we go. They're all still up. Look at the cars that are on the inside of the road. They all have slowdown penalties. They've all cut that chicane. We're going to be talking about this all night, and this is Sparrow and Cordier weaving, ducking, diving. This feels so much more like a boxing match than it does a car race.
Yeah, certainly does. Side by side continuing there between Dylan Jordan and Nico Cordier as things calm down in this infield section. Hopefully it calms down. We'll have a moment to look at that replay of what happened to Paul Booth. Big thanks to Creme Insurance on the replays here for this series. We'll see that Mitchell Sparrow gets up the inside of him and then taps him, but have a look at the way he recovers this. Another slide, just avoids getting into the other cars. That's some solid driving to keep it going after a slightly compromised situation.
How's the handiwork? That was pretty. That was really, really well done. And race control's also getting out there. Remember we were just talking about ducking and weaving down the main straight? Cordier just got a warning for that. That's it. No more of that for at least the foreseeable future for him. Right, it has been aggressive. We've got a big breakaway up at the front end of the field race, and that's important. That's how much they've been squabbling in behind these guys. So it is a 5-second breakaway for Silcock, Baker, and Prout. I think Baker's just happy to just let him go at the moment. He's just watching, just waiting. He'll bide his time, and he'll have a go maybe on the last lap. And that's our lead three. So the podium are absolutely gone to the sunset. And then James Corbin. And at the moment, he feels okay. But I get the feeling he'll be watching that rear view like, oh, look at him again.
Yeah. Nico Cordier, that looked like straight up blocking to me. Race control might have another word to him. Yep, Mitchell Sparrow and Alex Sprague behind. They'll be getting a bit frustrated here.
Dived into turn one. Sparrow's going to try and go around the outside. Sprague will slot in as well. Covers it off. I don't think Cordier needs to do it. I've got to be honest with you. It is excessive in my mind, and he has been warned, so he is playing with fire.
It's a difficult situation to be in as a driver when you're in the midst of a pack and you've got drivers trying to slipstream past you down the front straight. You know, there's a lot of give and take involved, I think. We see it in the way the front runners are battling there, as there's another block to the inside from Cordier. He's trying desperately to hold on to this position. Don't forget, just a few places behind him, Billy Rowley sitting in P10. That is pole position for race 2. It's an incredibly close battle here, and it could decide who starts on the front row for the second race.
That does not look like a happy man, does it? He looks like he's sweating just a little bit. He is working hard. He's going to get some door banging more. Now Mitch Sparrow gets blocked coming onto the back straight away. And Nico Cordier is going not to be in the vote for driver of the day from his peers, but the fans might choose differently. 3 wide to the chicane. Sprague with some cojones. My word.
That was great from Alex Sprague. He positioned the car perfectly, somehow managed to pull it up just in time. He'll have the inside then into the final corner, and finally Nico Cordier is not leading the train out of the last turn. And this time he sticks to the left side of the start-finish straight. That'll leave him open here. He's going to try and follow Sprague in the slipstream. This is such a tight fight. These guys are handling these things almost like they're F1 cars, as Mitchell Sparrow tries to find the best line into the first corner. Nice defense from Sprague, maybe. They both slow up on the corner, and Mitchell Sparrow's right there to take advantage. Sweeps around him in turn 2.
Yeah, well, that was all caused by those two wanting to beat and bang the panels off of each other's cars. Now it's going to be Sparrow who gets the nose clear, blocks all the way in. Cordier and Sprague are going to bang panels, and here comes a horde of 86s in the background. And they are all lining up to have a crack at this one. Rowley's got 10th place locked up. Guess what? Paul Booth lurking in 11th spot. More paint traded by these guys. I just get the feeling it's getting to the point. Race control are probably on the verge of wanting to intervene in this one because it's on the line. If they dip a toe over that line, they're in trouble.
Yeah, it's an interesting intersection between road racing and oval racing when you come to a track like this with long straights, less powerful cars that really benefit from the slipstream. Pack racing inevitably ensues, and you've almost got to change your mindset. You need to try and stay in front as there's contact there. Billy Rowley almost sent off in the chicane, and Paul Booth and James McIver come together there. McIver, the one to go off the road, and he falls back to 15th place. Rowley, somehow through all of this, still holds P10.
Something just happened. Something happened with our lead group because Silcock has lost the lead and Cooper Prout's gone basically past the pair of them. So Prout's got the lead and Silcock just hopped on the radio and said, race control, I need you to have a look at that chicane. So something's just happened. So
it looks like we'll have a replay of that. It was contact between Josh Silcock and Ewan Baker on the way into the Vidal chicane. Baker trying to go for the lead, evidently. But Josh Silcock turning in a bit early. Contact there. Baker saves it, but Cooper Prout was right there to take advantage. Just stick the throttle pedal through the firewall, and you're in the lead by the time you get to the last corner.
Mate, that looks like just good sports car racing. So you're right. I do feel as if Silcock's probably the one that's turned in a fraction early. But to be honest with you, they all lost about the same. I reckon that's play on.
Yeah, then they're still all together in the pack. So potentially no harm, no foul. At the very least, if you're not talking about Ewan Baker's tyres with that slide. Here comes a run for the lead again from Josh Silcock. Geometric fastest line through that right-hander. If you're on the right-hand side, you'll get a shorter distance covered, and it looks like Prout's going to let him go into the chicane. He knows the game here. We've still got 5 laps to go in this race, and these guys are just going to be trading spots if they keep fighting. They'll lose time to the pack behind, which seems to be creeping a little bit closer. Dunn, Jordan, and Corbin seem to be working together nicely. At a track like this, you do want to save all of your moves for the final lap, because you get it done too early, you're just going to get passed back.
Yeah, that you will. Avon Dunn, though, is going to go a little bit defensive as they come out of the last corner and behind these guys as well. So these guys...
Oi!
Hang on. Right on the defensive line, and they're really starting to trade paint. And Race Control's also working on handling another incident at this point in time. So Prout slides down the inside, retakes that one away. Ewan gets fed a fender at turn 2. And I don't know about you, Reese, but there was some niceties, there was some pleasantries earlier on. That's been thrown out the window.
Yeah, I think we're going to be seeing some more extreme moves in the next couple of laps here. Silcock is more than content to try and give Cooper Prout a run for his money. Don't forget, he's battling in the middle of the top 2 of the championship here. So he does have that to consider. He could end up costing both of these drivers points at the end of the day. We'll just have to wait and see. But now onto the back straight once more. Who gets the best run into the corner? It's Silcock. He got to the apex first, but Prout gathers up the exit nicely. Baker, I think, is just going to sit back and watch these two duke it out for a bit.
Well, it was Cooper Prout who actually did that in the early running, so he might have saved up a little bit of tyre, just not taking the edge off them in the first sort of stanza of this fight. Silcock will close back down yet again. So again, I think these guys are just, it's nearly like a little bit of a game of rock, paper, scissors at the moment. If you throw rock early, well, of course, somebody's going to go ahead and throw paper and pay you back for that one. So it's about setting it up and just being smart about when you do it. You know, no point throwing rock early and just showing your hand. And I think they're all just sort of reading each other a little bit at the moment, and I think you're still right about that second group. They're just happy to work together. And the other thing is, lap times have fallen off a little bit. Last time by, basically the entirety of the front group have all fallen off about a second. There's a massive stand at the moment in that second group as well.
That was a big slide from Cooper Prout on the exit of turn 1. Don't forget, the setup for this series curated by real-world Toyota 86 New Zealand champion Hugo Allen. There's no traction control on the setup in this. iRacing does allow you to use traction control and anti-lock brakes because those aids are usually present on the real-world car in American and international competition, but in New Zealand, no traction control. So the drivers do need to be careful on that go pedal.
Yeah, that's one of the, also worthwhile pointing out, it's pretty similar with the Porsche 992 Cup car, which is called releases of as well, and the way that series, the series locally get to govern those restrictions and how you're going to apply that to the car, and the options are there. And generally, it's something like a thumb drive that effectively just gets plugged into the car, and here's all your running settings and engine traction control and throttle mappings, and everyone then effectively gets the same sort of setup in each of those cars. And then from there on out, it's how you set the thing up and how you drive the thing individually. And you saw Silcock looked quite strong at the end of that back straightaway, but coming through the chicane, Prout's carrying really, really good speed over those curbs, and that's his biggest strength.
Yeah, he's nailing the final sector. Also note that on the entry to the final corner, he's riding the curb on the way into the corner. Silcock and Baker aren't necessarily doing that, so they have a slightly more stable platform, but they're not taking as wide a line into the last turn as Prout is, and that may end up proving a big difference maker here as they continue to run practically line astern. There's some changes happening in that second pack. Avon Dunn and James Corbin were running side by side through the opening corners. Hello, Hoon on my street. And Dylan Jordan has managed to jet away from them just a little bit, but I don't know if that's a good thing for Jordan. He's now all on his own. No slipstream to assist him, even from the drivers behind.
Yeah, so he's just looking to just sort of chill out in his own aspect at the moment. I just get the feeling Avon Dunn's just maybe worn or over-pressured the front tyres. It just seems like the car doesn't want to pivot into the corners anymore. He's also copped a couple of whacks on each of the corners. When Jordan went by, there was sort of a little bit of a tap, and this lap, James Corbin as well at turn 1 sort of made a little bit of contact, got in quite deep. So I get the feeling he's been used up a little bit, and long flowing corners, they will use those front tyres.
We're heading back to the battle for 9th here now. James McIver and Nico Cordier, 9th and 10th at the moment. Billy Rowley has been moved out of the way just a little bit, still sits in 11th. Arthur Brown on a recovery has made his way back up to 12th after his early troubles with the slowdowns. So some good stories to come out of this one. Bit more aggressive over the curbs there, and that has ruined the momentum into the final corner. It's forced defensive there from Arthur Brown, and Paul Booth stands a chance of getting back into 10th if he plays his cards right here. 2 laps to go. Currently Nico Cordier in the box seat for race 2 pole. As for the win here in race 1, Cooper Prout gets back ahead of Ewan Baker.
Yeah, but Ewan Baker's coming back at him a little bit. Now he's going to get the overlap down the inside as they head through the arena section. And here we go. You want to be on the inside here, but then you want the inside back at the right-hander on the other side. So it's going to be the long way round for Ewan Baker. The hairpin down here at the bottom is going to be another right-hander. One more lap left to run after this one. It's not the final lap, but they're just hammering each other. Little bit of paint traded. They're okay with this one. They want to lean on each other a little bit. Hey, I'm still here. Hey, I'm still a threat of getting down the inside. And, well, Baker's going to maintain the inside as they enter the chicane.
This is just costing them time, though. It is all well and good trying to fight hard for the lead coming onto the back straight here, but Baker's been sent a little bit past the curb there, and this could be what Josh Silcock needs. All of this time, Dylan Jordan, Avon Dunn, and James Corbin have been making up a few tenths a lap at least, and they might be on the back of them towards the end of the final lap. The top 3 need to think about that.
Well, it was 9/10 of a second, pretty much bang on a second. Last time by that Dylan Jordan took out of them. Done whatever he's done with his car, the tyres are starting to recover. These guys were disappearing in the rearview mirror only a couple laps ago. And you're right, they're now right there, but they're going to rely on a little bit of a miracle in the last lap to at least potentially think about a Hail Mary at the back end of the lap. White flag will wave, here we go. One more circuit, race 1.
This track is 3.63 kilometers in length, and they're going to use every single meter of that to try and keep their positions here. Cooper Prout, about 0.4 of a second is the lead at the moment, and all it takes is a small mistake here in this first sector, and he'll be in trouble. Baker and Silcock, though, for their credit, they do seem to be hanging back a little bit. They are waiting for the straight to really make the move.
Yeah, and Ewan's had a really strong arena section on this lap, so he is at risk of having a go. There was some paint traded on the previous lap. Race control said, hey, we're going to have a look at it between the first 2 races. We don't really think we can eliminate any issues, so that one will play with a little bit of a question mark over it. However they cross the start-finish line is how they'll line up for race 2. Remember, the invert's coming our way as well, so this is really important. Is he going to have a lunge down on the exit of the chicane? Well, it was Proud, it was a touch wide. He put 2 wheels in the grass.
Final run then into the Vidal chicane in race 1 here. The CareVets NZ Toyota 86 E-Cup has produced fantastic racing all the way through, and we've been served up a nice dose of it here at the Nurburgring. Defensive from Prout into the chicane. Baker's going to carry a bit more speed. He's over the curb though. Slight loss of traction. A slowdown for Ewan Baker, and this is going to be difficult coming into the final corner. Cooper Prout's going to lead on the way out. Baker pulls over at the end. It's going to be Prout and Silcock, your top 2 from race number 1. Oh, Baker loses his position on the podium on the run to the line. A mere few thousandths between himself and Dylan Jordan.
But he did get the slowdown penalty served. He got that one served in time, and you would rather give up 1 spot than you would having to serve a 40-second penalty. That would demote you to the last spot on the lead lap. What a cracker for race 1. It's worthwhile pointing out, Reese, we've got 2 more to come and a reverse grid in that one.
Yeah, speaking of the reverse grid, Nico Cordier is the driver who finished in P10. So the driver who caused a little bit of controversy earlier on in race 1 will start on pole for race 2. I can't wait to see what that brings to us. A quick look over the results then from the first race. A fantastic drive from Cooper Prout there, from 4th to the win. Josh Silcock, our pole sitter, finishing in 2nd, with Dylan Jordan making his way up to 3rd. In the end, Ewan Baker finishes 4th, 2 seconds off the lead. Dunn and Corbin 5th and 6th, with Mitchell Sparrow a few seconds further back, leading Alex Sprague to the line by a few seconds. James McIver and Nico Cordier separated by just over a second at the end.
Yeah, McIver was really aggressive in that one. He'll be interesting to watch. Billy Rowley from Arthur Brown. Paul Booth, only good enough to get back to 13th, traded a lot of pain in that one. Corey Croson in 14th, had a few issues on that opening lap in a spin. Matt Priest back in 15th. Ross Buchanan, Henry Fires, Bryce Harding, Nico Skulls, and Graham Wall to round out the 20.
In 21st place, Tim Sullivan and Justin Davies, last finisher on the lead lap there, with Christopher Tipper being our sole retirement from that one. Nico Scholes ultimately did take the start, which is good to see, and he made his way up to 19th in the end. While we have a moment, a chat with our race 1 winner. Cooper Prout is with us now, leading the championship coming into this round. Cooper, it was important that you keep that momentum up, and that's what you ended up doing there. It was a solid fight with Josh and Ewan.
Yeah, that was a really good fight, really good race. Big thanks to Auto Moves. Yeah, but really looking forward to the rest of the races tonight.
Yeah, as are we. What's your goal going to be? Starting from 10th, I think you'll be working the slipstream. It's also the longest race of the night here, so yeah, plenty of time to plan your moves.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's going to be a tough race. Reverse grid's never really easy, but I just want to try and work forward as far as I can with just collect some more points for the championship.
And how's the car driving here? The Nurburgring Grand Prix circuit, notorious for having slightly less grip compared to its big brother, the Nordschleife to the north. The curbs are a bit of an issue as well. Are you handling those curbs right? Is there anything that you feel you need to change?
I felt like I need to look a bit more into that, but I feel like just there is a bit of a lack of grip compared to practice. I feel like we were almost 2 seconds slower per lap in qualifying than we were to the race, but it's kind of tough, but every driver has it the same, so we have to work with it.
That you do. Well, congratulations on the win, Cooper. A great way to start off the evening. Hopefully the best comes in race 2 as well. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thank you.
Cooper Prout there, our winner from race 1. And now we're going to get into race number 2. Only really need to go through the top 10 as that's been inverted for this one. Nico Cordier finishing in 10th. We'll start on pole for this with James McIver joining him on the front row. That's going to be a good opportunity for McIver. Sprague and Sparrow are our second row, with James Corbin and Avon Dunn row 3. Ewan Baker, Dylan Jordan, Josh Silcock and Cooper Prout round out our top 10, Scott. What are you expecting from this?
This can either be chaos or phenomenal racing. There will be nothing in the middle. It's either really, really gold or really poor. The biggest thing I saw from race 1 though was just guys were just not happy with each other. They were very willing to trade paint, very willing to be aggressive. I think McIver's probably the perfect example of that. The amount of times I saw that guy try and get down deep into a corner. He starts off of the front couple rows here, so he's got a really, really good opportunity. Worthwhile pointing out as well, we also have that prize for fastest lap of the race. 39.304 was the fastest lap from race number 1. I think conditions are a little bit warmer at the moment, so we won't see improvement on that one for race 2. But race 3, we could see that time get picked off.
We certainly could. There's also a prize on offer for the hardest charger. At the moment, it looks like the hardest charger from race 1 was Billy Rowley, by my estimations, made his way up from 18th to 11th. So some good potential there. Hard charger of the round, most positions gained over the 3 races. They get a 1-month subscription to Apex Lab, Sim Engineering, and Driver Training. If you want to get in on that yourself, look in the bottom right corner there. Use promo code NZSRC for 10% off your first membership. A huge thanks to Apex Lab for their sponsorship of this series, joining a bunch of fantastic sponsors: Creme Insurance, CareVets, Mannon Racing Products, Speednation on the fan vote as well. Remember, if there's any driver that sticks out to you here, you can vote for them on the NZ Sim Racing TV socials after the event concludes, and we'll announce the winner at the start of the final round. It's going to be an interesting race number 2 here. Once again, Nico Cordier starting on pole, but James McIver is going to be pressuring him here. The revs will rise in just a few moments. The standings start. Need to keep an eye out on your clutch inputs here as they dump those clutches, and away they go. There's a lot of wheel spin for Nico Cordier off pole position, but somehow he's managed to translate that into an incredible run off the line. McIver's in trouble with Alex Sprague now trying around the outside of the hairpin. Field comes into turn 1 for the first time in race 2. And it looks like Sprague is now going to have to worry a bit more about Mitchell Sparrows trying around the outside for 3rd. We have James Corbin and Ewan Baker battling in there as well.
Yeah, and there was a big old slide for Sprague as he got through turn 2, as well as they settled down into the arena section for the first time in race number 2. Sparrow's going to try and get the nose just ahead of James Corbin. Ewan Baker's the one that's gotten the best getaway of our pro drivers, but I think the big thing was that whoever was alongside, or just in behind actually, started off at 3. McIver, again, this is the characteristic center of the guy. He just wants to have a crack in the 6-7 machine. How about that one for McIver? To the inside. He wants to get ahead. Now he's going to trade paint with Cordier.
Oh, banging doors again, and whoa, my goodness, trying up the inside there was Mitchell Sparrow, and that's going to be Nico Cordier around, and oh, Avon Dunn just T-bones him. Big damage. There's another spinner further back in the field as well. Corey Croson, his first laps have not been good tonight. And that's just caused a whole bunch of chaos for the rest of the field coming into the chicane. Ewan Baker trying to preserve 9th place as Paul Booth tries around the outside of him, gets it done. I am amazed that we didn't see more drivers off the track there.
Yeah, there is. Avon Dunn's had a lot of damage, and I think he's trying to get back to pit lane. Yeah, he will. Graham Wall's got a meatball flag, as does Henry Fires. There's a few guys will be diving into pit lane. Tim Sullivan's going to slow down penalty as he comes onto the first chicane. I think he was the only one that actually picked up a slowdown penalty that time through. Silcock's going to try and cut his way back through. What happened to Ewan Baker? He was there and now he's gone.
Yeah, it looks like Baker may have just had to compromise himself in the midst of all of the chaos that happened out of that corner. He was right on the scene for that initial contact. He had to jump on the brakes, actually, because Cordier was spinning out of control right in front of him.
Yeah, and he's had to check up, and there's a lot of damage to his right rear corner, and his right rear brake light doesn't work anymore. He just got clipped, I think, in the middle of it. Yeah, just a light little bit of contact, unfortunately. So everyone is trying to get it down the road and try to make something of this, and, well, you kind of got to. You got to be aggressive, because this first couple of laps is the best opportunity to find time. The problem for Baker is that damage is going to be massive. He's going to have next to no straight line speed, and this is probably one of the worst tracks to have that.
Yeah, he's going to try his best to make up places, though. Can't get much tighter than that up the inside of Paul Booth there. Still holding on to 9th for now, but this is where you're going to see that lack of straight line speed come into play. Alex Sprague alongside, and he doesn't need to put much effort in to get alongside and ahead of Baker on the run into the chicane. It's amazing how much effect one incident can have on a whole race, but Baker is trying his best here to hold on to the spot. Maybe a little bit too much curb there. You want to avoid hopping the wheels through those curbs in these cars. As long as you have all 4 wheels on the ground, the car is planted, but there's a spin ahead. Billy Rowley.
Yeah, it's just been rotated into the final corner, so I think there might have been contact at the rear end of Rowley. That's going to gift a few guys a spot. He's going to go tumbling down the list. What's the lap time from race number 2? 39.427, so about a 10th away from where we were in race 1 in terms of that fastest lap. So, again, it's going to require aggression. Might work from Cordier from outer space.
Yeah, and Dylan Jordan, maybe none too happy with that as, oh dear, Ross Buchan has had contact with Cordier as well, I think. Oh dear, this is just getting worse and worse as time goes on. Dylan Jordan spun, Nico Cordier spun, chaos in the midfield, and well, it looks like Rowley's going to be limping home, so will Cordier and Jordan. They get back up to speed there just in time for Christopher Tipper to make his way past them, and Cordier is unable to control his car there. I think that's suspension damage.
Yeah, I think it's going to be massive damage for him. Remember what I said before this race? It was either going to be fantastic or there was going to be chaos. Well, I think we got the latter.
Yeah, that we did, but things are looking reasonably stable in this top group here. James McIver leading by half a second over James Corbin and Mitchell Sparrow. Silcock and Prout, our top two from the previous race, inverted, will be chasing them down here. Prout as deep on the brakes as you like. It seems like Silcock got a slightly better run through the chicane there. Battle going on for sixth in the background as well. Alex Sprague's just made his way past Arthur Browen, but Arthur's trying to get him back here. Paul Booth sweeping in round the outside of the final corner. I mean, it's very easy to see why Booth got the Driver of the Day award last round. He's not afraid to get his elbows out.
No, and he watched Brown and Sprague go at each other on the inside. He just went, all right, I'm going for the momentum, boys. Have fun with that. And it's also going to be Ewan Baker trying to line these guys up. Everyone trying to pin each other to the inside on the run into turn number one. Remember, traction control as they drop through the middle. And Brown, I was just about to say, traction control. You've got to be careful with tyres off the ground. And Brown, unfortunately, that one bounces and gets away from him. It's still going to be Sprague and Booth going toe-to-toe. And Booth is going to have the inside when they get to turn three. Finally, is he going to try and take the line away? Yes, he will. Now Sprague, has he got an opportunity to fight back? He managed to maintain overlap. They'll come out through four and on the run to the hairpin at five, and finally Booth gets away. Now Sprague's on the defense.
Yeah, Ewan Baker trying to find his way into seventh, and it looks like Paul Booth is going to be safe there in sixth for the moment, but they're going to have to start working together if they want to catch up to that front pack. It looks like Cooper Prout has actually lost touch with the front pack there. He sits in fifth, more than a second back. I'd be interested to see exactly what happened there. It obviously happened while we were looking at all of the other chaos going on. Worth pointing out as well, the incident for Arthur Browen there, the slide that he had out of the first corner, that's given Justin Davies ninth place, and I think we'll have a new contender for hardest charger of the day. Davies started in 22nd, and he's now in the top 10.
Yeah, so unfortunately race one not going his way. He'll turn that around in race number two. That much is certainly for sure for Prout. He is now out of that draft group, and now he's got some work to try and do. If these guys just ahead of him fight just a little bit, and Silcock might actually just sit here and play nicely, unless the two guys ahead of him start to battle, because he'll want to try and build that margin and rob Cooper Prout of any opportunity to bring himself into contention. Well, that's going to go the opposite way, because it's going to be Corbin, who then has the same incident that Brown had a lap ago. They'll trade paint as they go down through turn two, and the run to the flick back at turn three means that Silcock will get to the inside, and James Corbin finally relinquishes that one.
He does indeed, and now the task for Josh Silcock is to try to catch up to James McIver and Mitchell Sparrow. Keep an eye on those windscreen banners as well, at the very top of the windscreen. Full-time series drivers have the black banners. Mitchell Sparrow has a white banner. That means that he is a wild card entry, which has been chosen from the New Zealand sim racing scene as a test bed for the main drivers in this championship. Hand-picked drivers from Toyota Gazoo Racing, CareVets, or Mark Mallard from Creme Insurance. They will not be eligible for points at the end of the day. So while they are battling hard for the lead, really, if you're in third, you're racing for second right now.
Yeah. And it's really, really important. They're sort of just aware of that. So McIver's obviously out here because he just wants to have fun and really throw it around. Sparrow's about the same, but these boys will be trying to not trade paint as much as they possibly can, rob a few other guys of opportunities. But then again, you know, you're out here, you may as well have some fun with it. And realistically, no holds barred. And that's Toyota 86 Racing in a nutshell. There's opportunities to win races. You're going to have a damn well crack. And, well, McIver, that's just been his brand of racing thus far.
Certainly has had plenty of cracks, but his hardware and other issues besides have prevented him from really getting the results that we expected of him. Nico Cordier, meanwhile, our pole sitter, involved in incidents and now a lap down on the timing. He's been given a black flag by race control, evidently a couple of rules violations in the midst of all of that. So that's going to be a rough job for Nico. The fight then into the hairpin at the tail end of this train. Cooper Prout has still managed to latch on, but Corbin, Silcock, Sparrow and McIver not too far away. We've still got plenty of this race left to run.
Yeah, 15 laps. This is the longest one of the day as well. So anyone who picked up damage in those opening exchanges, they've got the longest to go to try and drag their car to the finish line. And I've just been having a little bit of a look up and down the field, and we've talked about Ewan Baker having a little bit of damage, but more importantly than that is Alex Sprague's actually got a lot of damage to the front end of his car now as well, with a little bit of contact as these guys get aggressive at the front. Sparrow slides on by through the chicane. Looking after the tyres as well, I also think this will be really, really relevant to the race at large. And best part is, new fastest lap of the day as well, Reese. So we're going to see this exchange in the final corner. Goes the way of Josh Silcock. 39.139 means he beats out Prout from race 1.
Yep, and that just increases the challenge then for race 3. Can anyone beat that time from Josh Silcock and nab themselves a prize from Apex Lab? We'll have to wait and see. Our leaders all together into the first corner, side by side between Prout and Corbin, and that's the downside of that dip in the middle of the hairpin there. You get your car behavior just a little bit wrong, you get on the power at the wrong time, and you will go slipping. And once again, Prout loses touch with the pack, but he was able to make up that gap before. He could certainly do it again.
Relied on a little bit of aggression from the guys actually ahead of him. So that's certainly going to continue to play into this one. I think Silcock's also just been a little bit circumspect in the way that he's gone after this thus far. Does have the fastest lap of the race, but I think he's also just been protecting the tyre a little bit. One of the big things that happens is you switch off all the driver assists, well, then it's on you to prevent little micro locks and little scuffs and little slips and slides in the tyre. Because if you overhit those rears, well, the car's not going to be wanting to feel very planted. But we already talked about it. Lots of long radius corners around here. That puts a lot more load through the front tyres. I genuinely believe that we are seeing some evolution of these guys as they sort of can't keep the pace up as this race goes on. I think the front tyres are going away from them. They'll get a fresh set again for race number 3. So it will reset and we'll have an opportunity once again. But in the meantime, anyone who's just been a little bit circumspect, and James Corbin not going to be circumspect on James McIver into that last corner. He's going to have a red hot crack at him. And momentum goes around the outside for McIver. So anyone who's just looked after their front tyres, they might just all of a sudden come back to this one. And think about Cooper Prout. He's not been in this battle. So he's had the opportunity to run his own race the whole time. That actually could be an advantage.
Nico Cordier re-emerging onto the racetrack there after over 6 minutes spent in pit lane. A disastrous run for the number 69 there, but he won't be any trouble for our leaders. You're right about Prout. He has the luxury of being able to drive at the max here to catch back up to the pack, but then you have to reset your expectations once you've latched onto the back of the train. Still going to have 7 laps to go when they cross the line next. That is plenty of time to make moves, and we heard from Cooper before the start of this race that it was going to be a challenge with the grid invert. He just wants to try and get as far up as possible, but he can't afford to pull that trigger too early.
Yeah, so again, just patience. But the problem is, you know, if you wait too long, realistically, it's track position becomes time advantage. If you're at the lead and you're not fighting anyone, and that's what you've seen across the races so far, is that you're not losing time to battling people. So track position becomes field spread, and you don't want to be caught out by that field spread. If you've got pace, you might be able to reconnect, but that's laps out. You could be overtaking cars and progressing your way down the field. So he's managed to latch back onto these guys, and I do feel without some sort of intervention of battling or elbows out or doors. Oh, Corbin might have just got the inside barrier at the last corner there. He tried to really use the ability from that outside curve to turn a long way in. I think he actually might have clipped it. I think there might be some damage on the right front corner of car number 07.
Yeah, he actually glanced off the pit lane attenuator, the end of the barrier. That was a lucky escape there. He was able to keep it rolling, but that's put him in a bit of trouble here. If he does have front end damage and that's ruined his straight line speed, he will need to latch on to these guys and stay in touch. But Cooper Prout gets up the inside at turn 2. He's going to try it again at turn 3 here, and Corbin is forced defensive. Another door fed to him, and it looks like he may... Oh, I thought for a second he was going to give it up, but Prout is the one that turns in late and tries to get the run down the straight. Now both of them are starting to lose touch with the top 3.
I genuinely believe that actually might have been Cooper Prout going, oh, I got in a little bit hot there at turn 3. I'll give this one back and we'll go it again. And the other thing to consider as well is the more these guys fight, they are starting to lose a little bit of touch with the top 3. So you've got Silcock and McIver are actually looking to work together quite a lot here. And they're just being patient, working with each other and running their own time. So they will look to try and break this one wide open. This is Sprague, Ewan Baker and Paul Booth. You've got to remember that Sprague and Baker both do have damage. Front end damage for Sprague, right, rear damage for Ewan Baker. And Paul Booth's just been running with these guys again. Not fighting. These guys are just playing smart.
Yeah, it's consistent from them, and you're not seeing as many wild moves as we've seen at the front. Meanwhile, Arthur Brown past Bryce Harding there into the chicane, and Harding's going to somehow get back around him there on the exit. We've got Nico Scholes, Justin Davies, and Matt Priest involved in this fight as well. This is for the last couple of positions in the top 10. And Bryce Harding, round the outside of Arthur Brown, is going to retake it across the line. There's definitely going to be 3 wide into turn 1, maybe even 4 wide.
Well, Skulls is looking to try and get some overlap on Brown here, and you mentioned it might be 4 wide. Well, it's back to 2 wide. Now it's back out to 3 wide. Davies has got down to the inside. Is he going to get into the back end of Harding? They are 4 wide at turn 1 at the Nurburgring. How about that? Brown's going to sweep back in. 3 wide on the run at turn 2. This is NZ86s, and this is how they serve them up. Brown again sends the crisscross on both Nico Skulls and Justin Davies and Priest. Well, he's just sitting back there holding the camera. He is going to be recording the highlights because that is going on Facebook this week, I feel.
Absolutely. Some fantastic racing going on. And, you know, if I'm at the wheel and I'm at the back of the pack where they're fighting hard, I just enjoy the show. Obviously, I'm focusing on my turn-in points. I'm trying to keep as much of an advantage as possible. But sometimes good racing is just good racing. You can be a driver and a spectator at the same time.
Yeah, something's happened to James Corbin on this lap. He's all of a sudden dropped a long way back. I think there might have been a little bit of contact with Prout. Whether or not he got checked up or Prout got down the inside, but either way, Prout's now through and Corbin's out of the draft train. So he's in a world of hurt currently, and he needs to run his best laps to the end of the race. By the way, they crossed the start-finish line this time. There'll be 5 to go. This felt like a long one, and well, there's been a lot of battling up and down the field, and I tell you what, I don't want to be in that paddle pack back there with Harding, Scholes, Brown. Gee, Brown is getting defensive all over again on Justin Davies. This pack is going to explode again in a second.
Certainly is. Just reviewed what happened to Corbin. Yes, Prout got past him at the southern hairpin, but then on the the right-hander coming onto the back straight, Corbin caught the grass and was sent wide. So that's the reason why he is behind those guys at the moment. Racing going on again into turn 1. The battle between Arthur Brown and Justin Davies coming to the fore here. Brown loves flying up the inside at turn 2 here. He's just able to get that rotation that he needs and fling his way through the apex at a better speed than everyone else. Davies going to have another go at him there, as looks like Corbin and Prout are back together, and Prout is back to 5th. So plenty of racing going on all throughout this field, but I don't know. Will they be able to catch back up to the top 3 at this rate?
Well, they still do have a fair amount of time left over in this race as well. And remember those tyres, whether or not they're going away just a fraction. Sparrow ran a 7.11 on his last time by. I'll just go and have a quick look at what the lap time was. It was a 39.3 for Cooper Prout. So that says they've got enough time to absolutely go back after them. I think there was something from race control, actually. I think that was an order from Prout. I don't know what lap number the incident. I didn't quite catch that call from race control, but there was a redress ordered between Prout and Corbin.
There was a bit of contact between Prout and Corbin when Prout made his initial pass. So
that might be it.
Yeah, that might be it indeed. 4 laps to go, and Mitchell Sparrow in the wildcard entry has the teammates of Josh Silcock and James McIver working together to try and blast past him here. This little bit of side-by-side, 3 wide, could potentially bring Corbin and Prout back into it, but McIver playing it smartly, staying back behind, allowing Josh Silcock to have a go at Mitchell Sparrow. Gotta wonder, what's the best strategy here for getting around him?
Yeah, I think just smarts. Give them every opportunity to have a go at each other and just use each other up just a little bit. Corbin and Prout are lining up again, and that battle through turn 1, that's enough time for those guys to potentially drag themselves back into it. 3.5 laps left to run. There is probably just enough time if Corbin and Prout work together, but again, they've got to work together. They've traded paint a few times. It's probably not going to happen. So, yeah, setting the move up, tricky. I think it's probably going to have to come from McIver. Actually, maybe a little bit of bump drafting and teammate assistance working together between Silcock and McIver, because Sparrow's just driving a really, really clean pair of heels race. It's been very circumspect. Again, nice, clean, accurate that I've enjoyed from Sparrow in this one.
Yeah, can always count on that from Mitchell Sparrow. He's an incredibly skilled driver, and well, for the moment, driving in the lead, just cruising at the moment. He doesn't have to worry about too much of an attack from Silcock and McIver as things stand. However, 3 laps to go. Will soon become 2 and then 1. That will dial up the pressure substantially. The fight between Sprague, Baker and Booth is continuing to progress nicely. Bit of a narrower exit there from Sprague, which turns out to be slightly better for the run down the start-finish straight. Booth, I think, is more than happy to just let these guys tow him along at the moment. Maybe he's just changed his mind. A move to the inside into turn 1. Can he get it done on Ewan Baker? Baker slightly earlier on the brakes. Booth has the inside for turn 1, but the move is not going to be complete. That's why I love this circuit so much. The flow of one corner to the next, it means that side by side is always a possibility.
Yeah, and switchbacks, which is also, they're just the best thing in racing, aren't they? It's a switchback move where you let some guy attack the entry of the corner and you focus on that exit. It is a joy to watch because it also relies on a timing element. When does pull the switchback and how early, and then again, how much you can drive the car out. Sometimes the checkup and realistically a block pass, just parking it on the apex, is also a joy in racing. That's what this circuit really enables these drivers to do, and it becomes a balancing act, a game of chess. When do you pull one section of the move? When are you sitting it up? And oftentimes, letting a guy block you can actually work in your favour as well. So it's racing smarts when you get into a race like this at a fast-flowing racetrack. A little bit of a mistake now for Nico Skulls as he got his way past Bryce Harding, and Harding will take that run back by, pick up another spot back into 9th for Bryce Harding.
Yep, Nico Skulls, another one of our wildcard entries here today. Remember, he didn't take part in qualifying. He's been racing from the back of the grid for the most part, but he's taken advantage of the chaos that erupted in the opening laps of this one to find his way into the battle for 9th. And Bryce Harding, I think that's a slowdown being served there. Oh yeah, too much curb at the chicane for both cars. Harding gave up the time early, and now Nico Skulls probably serving it in the wrong place there on the exit of the final corner. That'll give the position back to Harding, no problem, as we focus back in on the top 3. Cooper Prout and James Corbin still scrapping over 4th place, maybe costing themselves some time there.
I think Brown just came to pit lane. I'm not seeing a penalty. I don't know what for, but he's coming to pit lane. I don't understand what that one is for, and he's actually missed his stall. But either way, one driver in a pit lane and taking that circuit. Second last lap of the race. There will be one more lap after this one, so all of a sudden becomes a little bit more important. By the way, Cooper Prout just got the job done on James Corbin. The problem is they're probably a touch too far back at 2.5 seconds off the pack ahead.
Yep, white flag will be in the air when they cross the line next. And now Josh Silcock and James McIver will have it all to play for ahead of them. A little bit further behind Sparrow than they'd like here, but that, by the same token, gives them space to build up the momentum in the slipstream, and they can hang off the back of him out of the final corner. It's any question which of these drivers is going to finish on top. We are about to find out. Just under 2 minutes worth of racing left to cover. 15 laps on the cards, and we're about to start the final one. Take care to avoid the attenuator at the start of that pit lane barrier. That Armco has claimed many a victim over the years. A flash of the lights from Josh Silcock. He's letting Mitchell Sparrow know his intentions.
Yeah, and it's just getting in his head. Really challenge him. Make sure that he's willing to block. Make sure that he's willing to cover you. It doesn't matter. This lap's all that really counts now. How's the braking from McIver? Late, aggressive in a turn one. That's probably the best opportunity on the lap. So now Silcock's going to outthink Mitchell Sparrow ahead of him. But then again, somebody's probably in his ear. He probably knows. He knows he doesn't need to win this one on the racetrack. He knows that Sparrow ahead of him has got that white windshield banner. He knows he's a challenger driver that's coming in from the real world and looking to just mix things up. There's no points that go the way of Mitchell Sparrow. So whilst he crosses the finish line first, that's all for glory. The race win and the point standings will go the way of Silcock. And I think they're actually thinking and playing this one very smart. Well done, boys. Didn't pick up on that one.
Yeah, it's a solid call from Silcock and McIver, but that doesn't prevent them from fighting with each other into the final corners. They will obviously be wanting to take those top honours. James McIver has yet to win a race in this finals series due to the various issues that we've expounded upon over the last few rounds, but it would be nice for him to come away with a maximum points finish in race 2 here. He's not quite close enough to go for it on Silcock, though. No movement from our front group into the final couple of corners, and it looks like, oh, that's a slightly better run for James McIver. He's going to try and go for it in the final corner. No, nice response from Josh Silcock. Up ahead, it's Mitchell Sparrow who's going to take the win on the road. Oh, okay, hang on a minute.
The black flag.
Oh. Not ideal.
I just had a quick look. Arthur Brown, I was thinking, I went and did some digging. I think Arthur Brown actually might have had something to do with a penalty. I was thinking there was potentially a penalty for incident point infringements. I thought potentially, well, Alex Sprague has definitely gotten a drive-through penalty, and I do think that's for hitting the incident point tally.
Well, you have 3 laps from when you get a penalty to actually serve it. But the penalty, I think, came a bit late for Alex Sprague, so that's going to be converted into a time penalty. Once the last few cars cross the line here, Nico Cordier being one of them, still waiting on Avon Dunn and Graham Wall to cross the line, we will likely see a bit of shaking around in those standings when those penalties are applied. But Mitchell Sparrow with a commanding victory. He will not get points for it, being a wildcard driver, but Josh Silcock and James McIver are our effective top 2 for points and finishing on the podium on the road. Cooper Prout and James Corbin battling over 4th all day long, with Alex Sprague still waiting on the race to go official. We'll have to wait and see where he ends up finishing. We're still waiting on Avon Dunn to cross the line. And with that, Alex Sprague has been demoted to 17th, so we might have to refresh that. Justin Davies will ultimately round out the top 10 as a result of that. A real shame there for Alex Sprague, but James Corbin gets P5, Paul Booth, Ewan Baker, Bryce Harding, Nico Scholes and Justin Davies ultimately round out your top 10 there.
Outside the 10 will be Dylan Jordan from Corey Croson, Matt Priest, Billy Rowley, Ross Buchan, Tim Sullivan. Sprague home the last car on the lead lap, down in 17th spot from Christopher Tipper Brown, both off the lead lap. And the last car inside the top 20 was Avon Dunn with damage on that first lap.
And coming across the line behind him there, we had Nico Cordier and Graham Wall. Henry Fires retiring from the race, unfortunately. It was a really rough go of things for Henry, involved in the incident coming onto the back straight in the opening laps of race 2. That is going to conclude things for the second stanza of this evening. And after a short break and a word from our sponsors here, we'll be coming back to chat with a driver from the podium.
You have something in your mind, you are able to create it, to build it, and then someone from the other side of the world came and tell you that they want to spread this product to 50 countries in the world, so it's a huge personal achievement.
You're watching the CareVets NZ Toyota 86 E-Cup, a fantastic first couple of races here. Before we get started for race number 3, Scott Rankin is stood by with the second place finisher from race 2, Josh Silcock.
Yes, Josh, another stunning race for you, and speed's been shown, mate. That looked actually quite challenging between yourself and James McIver. Was there a little bit of a conversation in the team about how you guys were managing that? Are you aware that Mitchell Sparrow is obviously not competing for points in this one?
Yeah, me and James were working together quite nicely. So yeah, cheers to James for being nice to me the whole race. Yeah, with Mitchell, we obviously, he's not in the championship, so we decided to sit, especially when the other two boys behind James and they had to readdress and gave us a nice gap. So yeah, to pull away and then just sit behind Mitchell for the rest of the race.
Mate, how's the tyre wear been to handle? It looks like the cars are quite quick in the opening sort of 2-3 laps, and then after that, there's probably about half a second, 3/4 of a second that tyres sort of go off. What's it like been feeling the grip of the car out and that balance after those first couple of laps where it's lightning quick?
Yeah, obviously the first few laps are quicker. Towards the end, it kind of balances itself out. We obviously weren't pushing, massively in the last few laps sitting behind Mitchell. We were just kind of biding our time, watching the laps go down. So I didn't really feel too much of a grip difference. But in that first one, when, the three of us were pushing up the front, it was, definitely noticeable and starts to get a little bit sideways and start a lot of understeer. So, yeah.
Mate, big bank of points coming in this week. Obviously, it's not necessarily gone all your way to the championship thus far. It's just focusing on getting those big points and doing everything you can over these next 2 rounds, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. We had the unfortunate suspension breakage last week, which surprised me a lot, considering the speed it was. So it would have been nice to, bank that one as well and be right up there in the championship. But I think, it was 4th equal coming into this race. So, it's nice to bank 2 good races first and then hopefully another good set of points in this next one.
Finally, has James told you how much of a dive bomb he's sending on you on lap 1 of this one?
Oh, I mean, from the one he did in that race, we'll have to just wait and see.
Mate, make sure that he gets absolutely elbowed all the way back to the garage after this one tonight, mate. Thank you very much for your chat, Joss, and good luck in race number 3.
Cheers, guys. Thank you.
Lovely
Mate,
stuff.
You can't ever let them get away, Reese. When the teammates are going at each other and being aggressive as they are, there's always going to be that little bit of a fun interaction, but, they work together really, really nicely in that one.
Yeah, they did. It was really nice working together from them, and Josh Silcock and James McIver rewarded with double podium and effective 1 and 2 for points in race number 2. Well, I'm sure we're going to be having one heck of a race 3 coming up. Still got a couple of minutes left in the warm-up, but a couple of attributes changing from race 2. It's a much shorter final race. It's only going to be 9 laps in length, and there is no field invert to worry about. Drivers will be starting where they finished in race 2. So that gives a good chance to Mitchell Sparrow to take a double victory here. But Cooper Prout, finishing 4th in race 2, visited the top step in race 1. He'll be trying to repeat that as well. Ewan Baker, despite his fantastic qualifying performance, hasn't quite reached those highs in the event so far. He'll be starting from 7th. So I think we were expecting quite a bit of hard racing from all of them here.
Yeah, and Ewan will be just like, you know what? It's time to get aggressive. I'm going to win this championship. I've got to elbow my way to the front. And he's always never really shied away from that to this point in time as well. He's going to be aggressive. He's certainly going to have a go at that, and that's one of the things you can be sure of. I think McIver is actually a really, really dark horse in this one. He's been really, really aggressive as here comes the grid.
Yeah, and just before that, I would like to apologize for people not knowing what a muffler is driving down my street outside. I will try to fix that issue, but the grid then for race number 3, Sparrow and Silcock are your front row. Starting behind them, it's going to be James McIver and Cooper Prout, with James Corbin starting 5th alongside Paul Booth, who's had a really good night tonight. Ewan Baker starting P7's got Bryce Harding for company on row number 4. Nico Skulls, he didn't take part in initial qualifying, but he'll be starting in the top 10 for the final race alongside Justin Davies.
Yeah, we'll go back past the 11th, Gillen Jordan from Corey Croson. Outside of that will be 13th and 14th spot, Matt Priest from Billy Rowley. This battle pack was awesome to watch in race number 2. Ross Buchanan, unfortunately, got rotated out of turn 1. Tim Sullivan will be lining up alongside of him in race number 3. And Alex Sprague gets that penalty and drops all the way to the tail end of the lead lap. Christopher Tipper will line up alongside of him. Arthur Brown had a terrible race number 2. He has been in the wars tonight, as has Avon Dunn.
Nico Cordier, a black flag, and a lot of time spent in the pits in race 2. Well, starting from 21st alongside Graham Wall, and Henry Fires will be trying to recover from a disastrous second race, starting in the last grid spot there. Safety car always at the ready in the hands of Cameron Dance, so we'll see what comes to the fore here in race 3. No safety cars thus far tonight, but I'm sure there'll be potential for it despite the relative shortness of this final race. Just a few seconds remaining on the grid timer, and now it's up to everyone one last time to get that clutch pedal in, make sure that you've set your launch revs properly for the cleanest start you can get. How much smoke are we going to see thrown up here as the green flag flies for race 3? Big wheel spin from a few drivers in our top 4.
Here we go.
But Mitchell Sparrow already under attack here from Josh Silcock. He'll have the inside for the first corner.
Yeah, but it's going to be McIver who's going to try and go the long way around on the outside. Cooper Prout tries to get the nose and gets a little bit chopped off. James Corbin manages to slot in really nicely as well. Paul Booth's going to get to the inside of Corbin, and that's the battle for 5th sort of spot at this point in time. It's going to be McIver who's going to try and go down the inside of Sparrow at turn number 3. His teammate managed to get through. Silcock to the lead, but here they go for P2, P3, P4. It's just about still double file most of the way through the field.
Mitchell Sparrow is so good at preserving corner speed. That's what I've always noticed from him. He never lets you get away with it if you're alongside him. He'll try for the outside in the hairpin here, but the outside line doesn't usually work on the way in there. So that's going to be Silcock and McIver 1 and 2 at the front of the field with Sparrow attacking them. Cooper Prout and Paul Booth rounding out your top 5. A good gain from Booth here initially, and he has got the championship leader coming into this round in his sights. Ewan Baker and Bryce Harding, brief little side by side there through that section, but Baker will come out ahead and he will have the slipstream off of James Corbin. How much of an attack is Harding and Skulls going to put on him here into the chicane?
Yeah, Harding's really looking to try and get the elbows out on lap number 1. Corbin's trying to go down the inside. He's going to have contact with Booth. He's going to cut back across the chicane. Ewan Baker's going to skate on through. A bunch of them are going to scatter on the run to the final corner. Booth is serving a slow-down penalty as well. Skulls trying to get to the inside in the battle for 5th with Ewan Baker. They will bang doors pause just a little bit. There's a breakaway of 4 cars at the front, and then it's just an absolute melee. I feel like this is the Middle Ages. Break out the joust. It's time to absolutely get amongst it.
Get on your horses and ride them as hard as you can into turn 1. Ewan Baker defensive from Scholes and Harding, but Harding with a huge run in the braking zone gets alongside Baker. He's shuffled wide though by Nico Scholes. He will get the position in the end through turn 2, but that's resulted in a bit of a split, a schism in our top 10. The top 4 breaking away. Everyone from 5th down to 17th is within a second of each other or less, and the fight is continuing between Harding and Scholes. Going to bring Justin Davies right into it as well. What a recovery it has been for Justin Davies. Race 1 did not go his way, but he was the hardest charger in the first race, and he will find his way solidly into the top 10 once again. Crowson and Sprague are making up good time as well. Sprague currently sits up 5 places, looking to make it up 6 as he's racing with Dylan Jordan.
Yeah, he's going to try and go around the outside of the first part of the S's here, which will become the inside, but it's going to be the shorter way around the racetrack, which means you can't carry the momentum onto the back straight away. Sprague has already lost that spot back out to Dylan Jordan. The battle packers just ahead of them are still going at each other. A little bit of damage on the rear end of Bryce Harding's car from something that happened on lap number 1. He's going to yield the spot to Nico Scholes on the way into the chicane. Who's going to cut the chicane? Who's going to pick up a dreaded slowdown? And who's going to find the grass on the other side? Scholes is going to block and box in Bryce Harding. He wants to hang on to this spot. Baker's got clear at the head of this group. He's up to 5th. Then it's the melee for 6th, and here they all come. Justin Davies is on the back of this one. Corey Crowson has had a torrid night at the office. He would love a great race 3.
Certainly would. Qualified 10th for race 1, only has a 14th and a 12th to show for it from the first 2 races today. Prout, that is a contender for the fastest lap of the night now. 1:39.085 as he makes his way past Mitchell Sparrow into 3rd.
That is the fastest lap of the night. It previously was a 39.139 from Silcock in the last one. Goes into the zeros. Will we see a 38 before we get to the end of the night as well?
That is the question. It's later in the afternoon, so the track temperature should start cooling back off again. It's currently at 27 Celsius. It was 24 at the start of race 1. So a few degrees warmer, maybe a tiny bit slower than the drivers would ideally like, but there's still great potential for fast laps if you manage to play the slipstream right. Look at this fight here. This pack is incredible. Once again, stretching from 6th down to 21st now. Avon Dunn all the way at the back of this train. He's got about 6.5 seconds, all of which is covered by other Toyota 86s.
Yeah, there's very little wiggle room at this point in time. And remember, we've already talked about looking after your tyres. Well, this is the shortest race of the night. The penalty for perhaps just leaning on them and cooking the fronts just a little bit isn't all that bad here in race number 3. Now have a look at them as they dice their way through the chicane. Massive air for Corey Crowson. Massive air for James Corbin. Both of those guys are going to pick up slowdown penalties. They'll serve him on the main straight. Corbin runs wide. He'll let Sprague through as they come out of the final corner. He's trying to serve it early so that he can carry momentum down the front straightaway and use that slipstream to find something back. Sprague has been on the aggression in race number 3. And that'll be Corey Crowson just ahead of him with a slowdown penalty to serve on the run to turn 1.
Cooper Prout improves the fastest lap only by a couple of hundredths, but looks like consistency is on Prout's side in race number 3. He is now with that front pack now. He and Mitchell Sparrow, well, I guess Sparrow's going to stick the nose out and say, no, I would like to finish P3 here today, thank you very much. Prout says, no thanks, I'm going to retake it. Silcock and McIver, meanwhile, looking in their mirrors like, this is good news for us.
Yeah, looking to run, looking to hide if they possibly can. Sparrow's going to challenge him down to the hairpin once more. At least filling that rear view mirror with the front end of his car. Corey Crowson failed to serve slowdown penalty in time. He'll have a penalty to serve in pit lane as a result. So he tried to get rid of that slowdown penalty through the chicane, failed to serve it, and well, you go from giving up a couple seconds to giving up a whole lot of seconds is his penalty.
Yeah, that's probably going to force him out into 21st at best. Tim Sullivan and Billy Rowley are the only drivers at the back of the field that aren't involved in that huge pack, and looks like they'll be having some issues, especially with Corey Crowson inevitably joining them there at the back of the running order. Cooper Prout continues his very aggressive entries into this final corner. Is that going to translate into the run he needs onto the start-finish stretch? Picks up a little bit of the gravel there, both Prout and Sparrow. Across the line again, it looks like Ewan Baker is one of the fastest of this pack here as Crowson jumps into pit lane. And it's almost side by side between our leaders. I want to keep an eye on Baker there in 5th. He has got the track all to himself, and as these guys are scrapping, he's making up time hand over fist.
Yeah, 4 to 4.5 tenths of a second out of the lead group on that last lap. He needs to gain time, and the other critical factor is Cooper Prout's going to have a bad race somewhere in the mix. If anything, Ewan Baker needs to see him have at least 2 in the final 4 races of the season. There's still 3 more races to come next week. It's not all over, it's not all signed, sealed and delivered, but if Cooper Prout just finishes inside this top 4, he'll be happy. There's probably not a lot that anyone else can do about it in the final round, and he's just going to show a clean pair of heels. That's his only goals from the final 4 races of this championship.
Yeah, consistency has been on Cooper Prout's side throughout this final series, and you know this is just the last stanza of the action here in the NZ Toyota 86 E-Cup. There was a whole round of initial tournaments and semi-finals before this final series began. You're looking at the drivers that were able to make it through all of that, so they're certainly not wanting for pace. And Ewan Baker on board here through the chicane. You see how aggressive he is over those curbs. You need to ride those bumps there to get the best run in the final sector of this circuit. A smooth run out for Baker, who is looking desperately to get some consistent top results here and challenge Cooper Prout for that championship. Prout, one of the fastest of the group there, but Baker 400ths faster with no slipstream, or at least very little. Almost 3 wide on the way into turn 1. Prout on the outside. Silcock goes to the lead.
Yeah, that he will. So he gets aggressive now. And McIver's going to have to nearly play the buddy-buddy card. He's getting aggressive, and it's nearly to be defensive. Mitchell Sparrow takes a look at the inside of Cooper Prout, and Ewan Baker sits in the background and licks his lips. He wants to see these guys go at each other, and go at each other they have. Now, just barely tags into the slipstream. He's under a second now behind Mitchell Sparrow. He will play a factor at the back end of this one. Skulls has found a turn of speed as well. He is also starting to track towards this lead group.
Yeah, Nico Skulls hasn't actually gotten a valid lap time down yet in this race. He's got off tracks on every single lap so far, but unofficially a 139.3 on the last lap. That is on pace with our leaders, if not a little bit better than our top 2. Silcock and McIver setting mid to high 139s in the previous laps, with Cooper Prout and Mitchell Sparrow getting into the low 1 minute 39s. So potentially we should look for Nico Skulls and Bryce Harding to become a part of this long line at the front of the field. Baker continuing to make up time here. He is the fastest of the field here.
Yeah, Nico Cordier, though, his bad day goes from bad to worse. He gets rotated into the barrier. A little bit of contact, unfortunately, with Paul Booth, but his day will be done. Meatball flag, and race number 3 means that his final race of the night ends in much the similar fashion as race number 2, but that gives us an opportunity to have a look back at our lead pack once again. And I tell you what, Sparrow's just not going anywhere. He's going to be a part of this fight to the very, very end.
Oh, that's an aggressive dive from Cooper Prout, and Josh Silcock saw him coming there, ran wide, left a little space at the first hairpin, but Prout, potentially saw an over-under in there, but James McIver parking it on the apex to stop the momentum there. And Baker, you can officially say, is a part of this fight now. Look at how close he's gotten.
Yeah, right in and amongst this one. And there'll be 2 laps left to run at the back end of this one. That's 2 opportunities to be aggressive. Sparrow feels like having a go at Cooper Prout. Everyone is trading blows. We said it was a boxing match earlier on when Nico Cordier was getting aggressive. I think it's gotten beyond that. It's now starting to be blows traded left, right, and center. These guys are throwing haymakers at each other, and someone's going to hit the canvas.
Let's see who in the end. It's going to be 2 laps to go when they cross the line next. The afternoon sun glinting off these cars. About 4:45 in the afternoon in sim time. Meanwhile, further back in the field, Arthur Browen's had to tow. Avon Dunn and Ross Buchan have both lost places as it's rear-end contact there. Sparrow getting into Prout. Somehow, they managed to get out of the corner all right, but Baker now sees a chance at a position here. It looks like he's not going to go for it, though. He's obviously confident in Mitchell Sparrow's abilities to drag him back up to that top 3.
Well, I think the bigger thing is that he'll know there'll be damage to the front end now of car number 71, and Mitchell Sparrow might be suffering a little bit in terms of straight line speed. 2 final laps from the Nurburgring Sprintstrecke. 2 final laps, 2 final opportunities to again get down the inside. McIver's been king of the dive bomb so far, and now Cooper Prout will add his name to the haymakers that are being thrown. Round the outside at turn 3. It's going to be bravery. It's going to make it really, really difficult. Good run from McIver. He'll hang on to the inside line. Here comes the crisscross.
Yeah, Cooper Prout, though, unable to go anywhere on the apex. He's a bit earlier on turn in for the right-hander, and it doesn't give him the run that he needs into the hairpin. And looks like Sparrow and Baker have managed to latch onto the back of them once more. All in a line, our top 5 making their way back onto the Grand Prix layout of this circuit. Who's going to come away with the win here? It could be any of the drivers on screen at the moment, maybe even a couple further back if there's a coming together. Nico Scholes and Bryce Harding, we can't forget about them.
Alex Sprague's also been cutting his way through the field in this final race. Gets his way to 8th before we start the final lap of the day. Prout didn't carry momentum off of the chicane into the back straight away. Is Sparrow going to go side by side with him through the chicane? Manages to back out. McIver nearly had Cooper Prout to his inside as he went to turn in, then thought about it, had to sort of readjust the steering wheel. Prout backed out eventually. Here comes the white flag. One final lap for the Sprintstrecke here, Reese. It is on at turn 1.
It will be a great exit from the final corner for Josh Silcock, though. It looks like he'll be reasonably safe on the run down the start-finish straight, but Cooper Prout will be keeping our eyes on here. Championship leader coming into this round. It's defensive from James McIver. Prout's going to have to find a long way around or switch to the inside. Big dive up the inside at turn 1, and Prout will force McIver wide. It's interesting, though. You're able to carry the momentum regardless, and McIver keeps defending second place. Now Mitchell Sparrow says, I might want to have a go. 3 wide into turn 3. Let's go. All across the curb there for Mitchell Sparrow. Might have picked up an off-track there. Somehow James McIver stays ahead, but Prout's been compromised at the right-hander, and Ewan Baker's going to get by him.
Here comes Sparrow, gets to the inside of McIver. Ewan Baker's going to try and line the pair of them up and have a go. More paint traded on the final lap of the night. Second to last round. 4th and final race of the season. Final of round number 3 in the final series. Sparrow finds some speed on the final lap of the race, on the final lap of the night. Can James McIver find a run on his way? Perhaps back to second on the overall. Silcock is just gone. He said, boys, you scrap. You just have some fun back there. I've got a race to win.
Yep, 2 second places thus far for Josh Silcock tonight, and it looks like he'll be clear to come away with the win. But Cooper Prout still having a go with Ewan Baker. These two are battling for the championship, so it's important for Prout to get this move done here on Baker and try and extend his championship lead. He'll get it done into the final corner, but Baker's going to try and hold strong around the outside. Up ahead, it's Josh Silcock who takes the final victory of the day here at the Nurburgring. Mitchell Sparrow finishes second and McIver in third. Prout just covering off Ewan Baker at the end. Nico Scholes and Bryce Harding got within a second of them there on the final lap.
Yeah, they got aggressive. They carried some really, really nice momentum. And Sprague comes home with P8 in the final lap of the night as well. Dylan Jordan home inside the top 10. I think Justin Davies actually managed to pick up the final spot there. That's confirmation of Cordier in the pit lane. And there's a few drivers who unfortunately didn't have a great one, but I tell you what, can we have another one? I don't think we're done for the race. If we got a spare set of tyres out the back, throw them out there again.
Oh, I'd love to see that, if only. The final race of the night then. Nearly 9/10 of a second in it between Josh Silcock and Mitchell Sparrow, but it was certainly closer than that at times. James McIver rounding out the podium for race number 3. Cooper Prout and Ewan Baker a mere 10th apart at most separating for 4th and 5th. Nico Scholes making up 3 positions to finish in 6th. Bryce Harding behind him. Alex Sprague up 9 places to finish in 8th. He wasn't the hardest charger, though. That'll be on the next page of the results for you, Scott, with Dylan Jordan and Justin Davies rounding out our top 10.
Yeah, from outside the top 10, we get to that of James Corbin from Matt Priest, who started out of 5th, unfortunately, for James Corbin. It went backwards. One driver that went a long, long way forwards, though, in race number 3, Henry Fires, 23rd to 13th. He'll pick up 10 spots. He'll get the hard charger from race number 3. Chris Tipper from Graham Wall, home in 15th spot. He also gained 7 spots on the running. Ross Buchan, Billy Rowley got rotated nice and early on. Did recover, though. Grabbed a few spots from Tim Sullivan, Avon Dunn, Paul Booth to round out the 20.
And then it's drivers who certainly could have had a better run of things. Arthur Brown ending his race in the pits there. And Nico Cordier and Corey Crossan managed to get back out on circuit, but only completing 6 and 4 laps respectively. A shame for them. They certainly had great potential for points today, but that is going to round things off for the final race of the day here. We do have our drivers in the Discord server with us now, waiting for a chat. We have Josh Silcock and Cooper Prout down there. Question is, which of them are we going to have a chat to first? We have to talk to podium finishers, hard charger winner, and the fastest lap winner. I reckon fastest lap first, because it did go to Cooper Prout. 1 minute 39.022 by my timing. Cooper, you've got the fastest lap of the day award, and well, you were just carrying that kind of pace all night long.
Yeah, it was great racing. It was quite hard the whole way, but it's good fun.
$40 Mannon Racing Products Sim Racing store voucher coming your way. Do you have any idea what you might put that towards?
I'm not too sure yet, to be honest, but I'll have a look.
Certainly. And as well, getting finishes over Ewan Baker in all 3 races today, so your championship lead should be extended in the midst of all of this too. It's perfect setup for the final round.
Yeah, we're all looking good for the final round, but we'll keep our head down and try and do our best again.
Fantastic job today, Cooper. Right up the top all the way through, and $40 MRP Sim Racing store voucher heading your way. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, cheers.
Cooper Prout there, and well, we have the fastest lap award in hand for him. Meanwhile, Scott, I understand you've had a chance to catch up to Josh Silcock.
Mate, only chatted about, 10 or 15 minutes ago. That last race absolutely blew by. 5-way scrap inside of the top 5. And, well, we said your teammate was going to have a go at you. He absolutely did that on multiple occasions, trying to go around the outside with James McIver. That final race of the night, that looked like that was a boatload of fun. Everyone was sending it on everyone.
Yeah, that was pretty mental. Massive thanks to James for helping me out there. Obviously, we're good mates off the track as well. So, yeah, he for sure helped me there. We were kind of bit of communication coming into effect, but yeah, nice to hold on and yeah, have a week that has 3 good races in a row is quite nice.
Very difficult to do in board of the chaos that comes from these races thus far. Look, Nurburgring went really, really well. One final round to challenge for and absolutely have a go at. How are you feeling confidence-wise? A lot of points picked up in this round. Championship, you're going to be there, you're going to be thereabouts in sort of the side of that top 5, but it's going to take a lot to get by Cooper Prout in that final race of the championship.
Yeah, Cooper's put a massive season or a massive series together, and he has, deserves the championship lead he has. And yeah, for sure, he's going to be hard to beat, but we're looking at that top 3, top 2, kind of want to be around there, and yeah, that's the goal. None of these tracks I've actually driven before. I bought them just for the series, so yeah, everything's new each week, but yeah, it seems to be working pretty good.
Mate, finally, is there anyone that you'd like to give a thank you or a shout out to? Because it's been helpful. Obviously, James McIver is getting a big shout out here, but anyone else that gets done behind the scenes for you?
Yeah, just my whole family. Everybody who's involved in my rallying as well. Everybody who watches the series, it's such an awesome series. First kind of time I've been, in a series that is this high quality, and yeah, I can't thank the guys enough who run it. All the sponsors for the series, and yeah, thanks to everybody who makes it all happen.
Ladies and gentlemen, Josh Silcock gets it done in the final race of the night here tonight. We'll see you again next week, Josh, to certainly throw down in the final round of the season.
Cheers, thank you.
Brilliant stuff from Josh Silcock today, and our hardest charger of the evening joins us now thanks to Apex Lab. It's the wildcard entry of Nico Scholes. Welcome, Nico. A fantastic drive from you, gaining positions in all 3 races for a total of 17 spots going through the night. Our organisers behind the scenes saying they don't think they've had anyone go forward in all 3 races so far this season. How was it for you out there?
Yeah, like it was a really good wild card event. Like this was my first meeting in this series. You know, like these guys are really, really quick. Like I didn't expect how quick they were going to be, but yeah, we had to muck up in qualifying, reset back to the pits, and I was like, dang, I just like got in a habit of going back to the pits. You know, after you have a spin or anything. So I reset back to the pits, and I had to start from the back. But yeah, no, we decided to break our way forward and went to 6 in the end for the feature, so yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah, very interesting debut for you, especially coming into the sim after a real-life competition as well, competing especially this year in the GR86 Championship, I believe, for Mackenzie Motorsport. How does the iRacing version of the car compare?
These ones are a lot more hooked up. Like they've got ABS. They don't have TC ones, but they're different tire and they got the wing. But yeah, these ones are like you just turn and they've got heaps of grip. But the ones like out in the 86 Series Bridgestone Championship, you know, like they're a bit loose and you can like do more. Yeah.
Well, at the very least, it's still a very similar car, which should provide these sim drivers with a very good baseline for what to expect if they end up winning the real-life drive.
Yeah, 100%. Like they're so quick. These guys, like, they can definitely hop into a car and like be top 10 in the championship. Like, these guys are so quick. Like, I didn't think these guys were gonna be like 6 tenths up the road on me. You know, like it's crazy to see how fast sim drivers are.
Yeah, some incredible pace being carried by these drivers. Thank you very much once again for joining us, Nico, and appreciate you having coming on board for this 3rd round. Hopefully we can expect you next week for the final round of the championship as well, but regardless, big thanks for joining us in the booth. Anyone you want to thank before we let you go?
Just Dad for supplying the simulator, and yeah, the VXR for supplying the liveries and stuff. You know, the car looks really cool. And yeah, thank you very much.
Big thanks to Nico Scholes there, and a fantastic job making up positions in all 3 races today. He is our Apex Lab hard charger for the night. And well, Scott, it looks like that's going to bring proceedings to an end. We now look forward to the final round of the finals series. It's going to be Cooper Prout versus Ewan Baker, but with Prout a little bit further ahead now, coming into Adelaide. We're hopping back across the pond to Australia to the Adelaide Street Circuit for the final round. That's going to be a belter.
Yeah, that's going to be... We've got to survive lap 1, turn 1, but after that, it is going to be an absolute fan favorite because you can really shove the nose in all the way up through the staircase, get aggressive with it. But the biggest thing I heard from Nico Scholes is, my racing career is not potentially done. I mean, if you can make it into that field, mate, there's an opportunity for me to go and spend 50 grand, go and buy myself a Racing 86. Let's do this race. Can we wrestle up some sponsors? You reckon we can get the money in? You and me in a race car? Let's go.
Yeah, I mean, I'd certainly like to. We'd have to spend an extra few thousand to potentially to modify the car to my physical attributes. Of course, I don't have the use of my right arm, but hey, if we can get it done, I'd certainly be interested. I think we'll have to leave that discussion for a later time, though, as we say our goodbyes here on NZ Sim Racing TV. One more reminder, though, of the Driver of the Round viewer vote. Get onto the NZ Sim Racing TV socials after this event concludes and name your favorite driver of the night. Anyone you thought put on a fantastic performance, anyone who was especially flashy out there today, that driver at the end will get a Speednation pair of Sim Racing gloves. And if you vote, you are in the running to yourself win a pair of sim racing gloves, thanks to Speednation, one of many fantastic sponsors of the CareVets NZ Toyota 86 E-Cup. Huge thanks to Creme Insurance, to Man Racing Products, to MOZA Racing, Apex Lab, and of course all of the crew behind the scenes at NZ Sim Racing TV and the NZ Sim Racing Collective. I'm Reese Gardner, Scott Rankin alongside me in the commentary box here on NZ Sim Racing TV. Who's going to end up taking the spoils at the end? The CareVets NZ Toyota 86 E-Cup has just one round of the finals to go at the Adelaide Street Circuit this time next week. We hope to see you there.